Imagine a world where, in a single human lifetime, everything falls apart. The great kings, the sprawling empires, the intricate trade routes that spanned continents, all gone. Palaces burn, cities are abandoned, and writing itself disappears from entire regions. This isn't a dystopian novel. This is what happened around 1177 BC, in the flourishing civilizations ringing the Mediterranean. Historians call it the Bronze Age collapse, and for centuries, it looked like a pure, unmitigated apocalypse. But was it? Or was it a brutal, necessary transformation? I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Empire Builders. To understand the collapse, you have to see the world that was. For centuries, a delicate, glorious equilibrium existed. You had the Egyptians, the Hittites in Anatolia, the Mycenaeans in Greece, and the mighty Assyrians. They were connected by a thriving international system. Tin from Afghanistan, copper from Cyprus, luxury goods from across the known world moved on ships and caravans. They spoke diplomatic languages, signed treaties, and intermarried royal families. It was a globalized, cosmopolitan age. And then, the threads began to snap. The first cracks were likely environmental. Triering data suggests a prolonged, devastating drought gripped the region. Crop failures meant famine. Famine meant social unrest. At the same time, the very interconnectedness that made them strong became a vulnerability. As resources dwindled, the great powers turned on each other, fighting costly wars over what remained. The Hittite and Egyptian empires, once peers, bled each other dry. The entire system was under immense stress. And then came the final blow, or rather, a wave of blows from the sea. Ancient Egyptian inscriptions plead for help, describing mysterious attackers they called the Sea Peoples. We still debate exactly who they were, refugees from the collapse, opportunistic raiders, or a mix of both. But their impact is clear. They came in waves, attacking the weakened empires. They sacked the great Hittite capital of Hattusa, burning it to the ground. They attacked the coast of Egypt itself. Ramesses III famously repelled them, but the cost was staggering. The Mycenaean palaces were destroyed, the trade routes severed. The complex bureaucracy that kept these empires running, the clay tablets, the tax records, the diplomatic correspondence, it all vanished. Literacy itself retreated to a few sheltered places. So, was it just an apocalypse? For the palace scribe, the merchant, the farmer watching the horizon for raiders, it absolutely was. The darkness was real, but from our vantage point, we can see something else. The collapse of this rigid, top-heavy system created a vacuum. And nature, history, abhors a vacuum. In the ashes of the Hittite Empire, small Neo-Hittite and Aramean city-states arose. The power of the pharaohs in Egypt was broken forever, giving way to a more decentralized period. And most significantly, in the ruins of the Mycenaean world, in the isolated villages of the Greek hills, something new was stirring. Freed from the heavy hand of the palatial economy, communities began to organize differently. They experimented. They laid the groundwork for the polis, the city-states, that would one day give us classical Greece. The Iron Age was dawning, not as a peaceful transition, but as a brutal, forced rebirth. The old gods and kings were swept away, making room for new ideas, new forms of governance. It's a pattern that haunts me, as someone who builds things in the modern world. We create intricate systems, economic, technological, social, and they can feel eternal. The Bronze Age kingdoms felt eternal, too. Their collapse teaches us that no system is too big to fail. But it also teaches us that collapse is rarely the end of the story. It's often a painful, chaotic, and terrifying transformation. The old empire falls so that new, more adaptable forms can eventually rise. The key is surviving the in-between, the dark age, and having the resilience to build something new from the pieces. This episode was produced by Light Knot Studios. Find our archive and more at https://www.lightknotstudios.com.